Today we're going to talk about, so there's our Isaac Newton. No. Today we're going to talk about, I'm hooked here, specific gravity. And the reason we're going to talk about it is because several people came up to me in the studio and said, wow, some of these glazes seem thick. And so specific gravity, or Sir Isaac, is kind of has something to do with this picture here, where the water droplet is defying gravity. So specific gravity in a clay studio is used as a good indicator of how thick your glazes are. So if it's done properly, it's pretty easy to measure, very easy to maintain, and easy for everybody to understand. So if you walk up to your glaze bucket and you go, ugh, yikes, I don't know about that one. Each bucket, in theory, would be mixed, have a recipe that's mixed, then, in this case, for dipping. So have a specific recipe made for dipping, and when they make the glaze, they put in the glaze chems and a bunch of water, and then they stir it real thoroughly and screen it and do all kinds of good stuff. And then, in theory, they get it to the right thickness so that when you dip your tile in, it comes out the way you want to, nice and smooth and even, and maybe good for double dipping, whatever. So the way they do that is to figure out a specific gravity or weight of the liquid that works. You know, they may try several tiles and say several different specific gravities and test them, and they go, ooh, we like this one, it's 135. So once they do that, they mark that down on that recipe for all time, and now you know always, if you come up to a bucket like this and a lot of it is evaporated, you should be able to look at that number, measure what you have here, and then say, oh, I need to add more water, or whatever the case may be, to bring it back to its original thickness. Now, specific gravity is not perfect, but it's easy to do, and it will improve the quality of your glazing. So, having said all that, 3 people asked me, how do you do it? I said, okay, great. I'll prepare a little video and show you a way to easily measure specific gravity. So let's run the video. Alrighty, back in the studio today, and today's treat is going to be, I'm gonna glaze something. I want to use my favorite studio glaze, and I open the lid and I go, ugh, I don't know about that. And so the question has come up. Let's go back to our station here. Sorry, I'm gonna make you dizzy. Alright, back at our station. So the question has come up this week. How do you check the thickness of the glaze? And some folks use their fingers. And they dip them in there. And they go, oh, I know how this feels. I've done this for years. And this is too thick. I'm going to add some water because the water has obviously evaporated. So today, we're going to show you how to quite simply measure specific gravity. Now, specific gravity isn't the be-all, end-all. But it's so easy to measure, and it will give you some consistent results. And of course, I got the spray today, and I got to use my glaze, and this is a double dip, and that's exactly how I like my double dips to come out for my clear glazes, thin, uniform. And here is a fired version of that, so it's a great melt. This happens to be matte. It's just the way I like it, where I could double dip it with a 3-second dip. So, stand by for a second. We'll set you up to show you how to measure specific gravity. It is super simple. So first step, get your glaze. Make sure it's completely mixed, absolutely mixed, perfectly mixed. And we're going to get, and this is the easiest way to do it, we can measure 100 milliliters, but we have this 50 milliliter syringe. I'm going to withdraw 50 milliliters of this glaze, and I'm going to measure it on that scale, and I'm going to double the result as if I had measured 100, and that's going to be my specific gravity. And if you notice, when we made this, we tested it until we found the specific gravity we liked for dipping, and then we marked it on this container. So anytime we want to get this glaze back to the tested thickness that we like, we make sure our specific gravity of this glaze in this bottle is 130, in case some has evaporated over time. So first step is to, I'm going to tare weight this syringe, and now we no longer are going to weigh the syringe. I'm going to withdraw 50 milliliters of the glaze and just make it 50 milliliters carefully. So that's about perfect. I'm going to wipe off my syringe and the extra on the outside. I'm going to weigh it. So I'm weighing what's in that syringe. So it's almost 64.5, so let's call it 65. That puts it right at 130. And the magic tested number is 130. So that's simply how you get it. So now hang on, and we'll give you an explanation of what it is and why it works. And of course, there's a nicely glazed piece, just the way I like it, very uniform in glaze. And once it dries, it's ready to fire. So anyway, that's specific gravity, and that is the question in the studio of the week. So that's it. Pretty simple to do, pretty accurate. It will help you improve your glazing. And if you don't have a number and you're at a studio, obviously you can ask them to do this, or you don't need a hypodermic needle. Yeah, you could do this with one of those little NyQuil shot glasses or solo cup shot glasses. Keep that around all the time, so if you have a glaze that's perfect for dipping, then measure it. Use that same shot glass at that same level to measure each and every time, and whatever that ideal number was, you always repeat it. So now you know. If a glaze gets, as a glaze gets thicker and the water evaporates, the specific gravity number goes up, and as you thin it, the specific gravity number goes down. It makes sense because it's the weight of water. 1 milliliter of water is 1 gram. So that's it. A simple way to check, and it's a way. You can use a hygrometer. It's not as accurate. There's a number of ways to do this. Folks who do slip molding do far more than this in a lot of cases, where they actually test the viscosity along with the specific gravity, and then they flocculate and deflocculate. So like all other things in clay, you can learn as much or as little as you want. This is kind of a bare bones way for you to get consistent, more consistent glaze thickness each and every time, and help your repeatability. So just a brief video, and hopefully that puts an end to how do you measure specific gravity and what is it used for, and hopefully it's you find it helpful. So we'll see you in the next video.